Hey everybody, Juan here, and just for fun, we're going to do a little origami. Now, I have been a fan of paper folding since I was about 10, so I've been folding for the better part of around 20 years or so, just to give you a hint as to how old I actually am. And for a lot of the models that I've come up with, because I'm such a fan of science fiction and space adventure and technology and stuff like that, most of my models tends to not be representations of nature, but of spaceships and robots and fun things like that. So if you caught the title of this video, this is going to be the coolest hovercraft that you can find on the internet. Now, when it comes to hovercrafts, usually we get these weird sort of floppy, amorphous blob things. It's still kind of ugly, and again, it's just sort of this floppy thing. It's not even as cool as like a really well folded paper airplane, but this is typical of the kind of hovercraft that you'll find in most beginner origami books. So what we're going to work on today, it's not going to be quite as easy to fold as one of those beginners, but I don't really think this is a very difficult model. And the nice thing about this model is it's a nice base. So once you learn my base for the hovercraft, you can tweak it and expand upon it, or do a whole bunch of other crazy things to it to make it look really cool or really cyber or whatever that you want to do. So to start with my version of the origami hovercraft, what we're going to do is fold the water bomb or water balloon base, and I don't know if you guys really need to see that, but it's going to be mountain folded on the diagonals, and then some people like to do valley folds for the bisecting sides. I don't like to do that, but I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward through this just so we can get to that nice little triangular four-sided shape. Okay, and so through the magic of video editing, we should now be looking at a shape like this, which is triangular, but has four separate sides. If it's not triangular, if your shape looks like this, which is sort of the square base, or as you're about to get ready to fold the bird base, then the nice thing is all you have to do is just pop it inside out, and you'll be back to the balloon base or the water bomb base. So this is what we want to start with. So now that we have this, we have this center crease going down the middle here, and on both sides. So for all four of these, we're going to fold diagonally, each arm diagonally into the middle like that. So like so. We're going to move this one into here. And then to match it, we're just going to do the same thing to the other side. And depending on the thickness or the gauge of the paper, this is usually where I'll find if I didn't crease properly before, that the paper starts to bubble a little bit. And we're going to match it right there. And flip it over. And just kind of crease that down in there. So now we should have this sort of kite shape. And this is what I call my hovercraft base, because from here there are any number of different steps that you can take to make different shapes, different forms, to make different spaceship-looking devices, and all of them tend to be very aerodynamically sound. For the most basic model of the hovercraft, what we're going to do is, and you can see it kind of makes like a little bow tie shape right there. So we're going to take one arm and kind of slide it under or behind another arm on these diagonal creases. You can see where that crease hits. We're going to put those right there. And then I just for the sake of consistency, I like to make sure if one side is on the bottom on one, that the other side is also on the bottom on the other. You can kind of see we get sort of this cone shape, or this triangular pyramid shape, with these sort of ends sort of sticking out the sides. Now this is the easiest part of the model. Once you've gotten it to this point, is on this line right here, we can fold this over like that so that it matches the angle of the arm. And on the other side, towards the inside, we can do the same thing so that that makes another nice little sort of elongated kite shape. So now that these are folded over, we have these little pockets from the arms in place that if we just sink that fold over into each arm, they'll stay locked in place. And the paper won't be quite so floppy and loose. And there's one completed side. And so we just want to do the same thing to the other side now as well. So we've got one arm that sticks out over. We're just going to fold that over. And same thing with the one arm that's sticking out, we're going to fold that under. And then we're going to sink these extraneous bits to lock both of those arms in place. Just going to slide that right in there. And same thing. And from here, because the inside arm is a little bit harder to sink, if you lightly pull, you can see how you can just lightly pull those two pieces of paper apart, and then you can just slide that right in there. And so this to me is just a little, so this is the completed basic hovercraft right here. It's very triangular, it's very sharp, it's very clean, and on the bottom it's like it's on rails here. Now this is just a little too stark for me. This is a little too bow tie for me. So what I like to do, just to kind of soften it, to round it and to make it look a little bit more practical, is now creating a crease right down this center line right here. So if we line up this, what would have been one of the edges of the bow tie with the other edge of the bow tie, right along those lines, and we make this another sharp crease coming all the way down to the point. We do the same thing to the other side. What we're going to end up with is a very low profile pyramid shape, which is very aerodynamically sound. So when wind is rolling across the point or the front of the craft, it's really not going to go anywhere. And the heavier the paper you use, the more it'll stay in place. But then we end up with these pockets that when air is blown through behind, that it'll scooch the piece of paper across the table and it'll get going pretty fast. We can kind of open these up just a little bit more. And then I like to flatten out the top. So if we just sort of loosely kind of soften that crease so that it forms this kind of shape here. So it's flat on top. The paper is only going to be connecting with the tabletop on these two very, very thin creases right here. So there's not a lot of resistance. There's not a lot of friction. You've got two giant engine pockets for the craft to catch air, and then it'll just scooch around the table. Just like that. And so you can see very quickly how you can start making customizations to this type of shape. So we started out with that very flat bow tie shape. But what if we decide that we want to make these a little bit more like wings? So if we flatten this out here, we do the same thing to the top. And we can do the same thing here. Flip it around back to the other side. And then really pull these in tight, like so. And so now we've got something that's super, super sleek. You know, it's only going to ride on these edges right here. Or from there, we can also pop these out so that they're like nacelles instead of being like large engine pockets on the back. this. So now you've got smaller engines on the back, and then you can sort of raise the middle, and it becomes a little bit more like a pod racer or something like that. Again, a very sort of sleek, shaped design. So everybody, this is the Juan Carlos Bagnell Origami Hovercraft. And I hope you guys have some fun with it, because like I said, coming up with this, I came up with this in the 8th grade, maybe the 9th grade, and it was just so versatile. Being able to show my friends just how easily this thing was folded. Very quickly, we came up with dozens of different variations on it. So just to show you guys how versatile this base is, so this is the one that we made little nacelles out of, and it creates like a little sort of bridged area right there. Here's the original, just sort of wide open pyramid shape that we started with. You can tweak there, but you can start twisting and bending the paper to start forming much more radical shapes for pockets of for different surface area to catch air as it moves through. That can be pinched in to create different designs. That can be flattened out to create much broader designs. And you can start really tweaking how each of these flaps will catch air. So, for example, instead of a hovercraft that always flies totally straight, you can kind of bend in certain flaps to make it curve or to make it maneuver, and it gets to be a lot of fun. And then pushing that idea even further, you can start to develop a slightly more organic edge for how these different surfaces are created and how they start catching air. And so this is another one where taking the exact same water bomb base that we started with, but then doing a little pleat sinking and then twisting the paper to fold into the different flaps, you can arrive at some pretty radical shapes and designs to do some very fish-like, inspired by nature hovercraft styles and hovercraft designs. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you liked it, I'll actually go through some of these other variations if you'd like. Throw me some comments down at the bottom of the video, especially you origami fans. I know I'm doing this for a tech blog, but this has been one of my hobbies for as long as I've been collecting hobbies, and so I'm just happy to share it with y'all. And yeah, I hope you enjoy, and we'll catch you guys on the next video.